As I said, I'm going to interview who I think is a very talented woman. Her name is Mary Feldman, and Mary is the executive director of PCC, the Parent-Child Center of Rutland County. Now, Mary is doing some innovative things. First of all, the mission of the PCC is that she works with younger people and their children, and from a nurturing standpoint and from an educational standpoint. However, she's doing some very unusual initiatives to incent the kids, to incent the youth to stay here. And that's what's very important to us for our economics. Mary, come on, join us.
Hi, Lou.
Hi, Mary, how are you?
Good, how are you?
One of my favorite people. Mary, first of all, just tell me about what was the initial mission? I mean, you only been with PC a couple of years or 2 or 3 years. What was the initial mission of PCC? What do they do?
Well, the Parent-Child Centers are written into state legislation to work with young families and to give young families a healthy start in Vermont and to impact positive outcomes. So the goal was to make sure these families had a good start, and then that would diminish some of the problems that might come from not having a good start.
But then you brought some other techniques. You brought a philosophy. I remember you brought some kind of philosophy that changed the way you were doing that mission. What was that philosophy?
Yeah, I think what's changed with us is not necessarily what we're doing. We still have the same shared goals that were written to legislation. But what's unusual now is I had the opportunity before coming to Vermont to be a part of a pilot study that was sponsored by the Community Foundation of Sarasota and Sarasota County, and it was from the Aspen Institute. It was a 2-gen approach to working with families who were living in or near poverty. So the innovation that's happening at the Parent-Child Center now is that we are building a 2-gen center, and the 2-gen approach takes care of the whole family as a unit. There are certain
2-gen meaning 2 generations.
2 generations, the parent and the child, and providing equal and simultaneous supports for that family. So instead of just focusing on the parent or focusing on the child, we bring them together as a unit and stabilize the family by hitting certain tenets of our philosophy.
But that's a proven technique too. That's been proven by Aspen.
Yes.
What is Aspen anyway?
So Aspen Institute is a research and philanthropic organization in Colorado, and it was through this relationship that I had with Aspen and Sarasota County Community Foundation that I learned about it. So there's 5 tenets of it. One of them is early childhood education and the importance of early childhood education and long-term outcomes, and that includes grade level reading. Then second was post-secondary and career pathways. So do families have access to employment? And then the third area was financial assets. So do you have a car to get to work with? The fourth area is health and well-being of the family, which is something that's very important at the Parent-Child Center now. We have access to healthy food that is being grown locally. And then finally, and what I consider to be most important, is social capital. The development of, do you have connections in the community that will stabilize you and keep you here? Do you feel like you have a place here and that you can live out being a member of the community?
And that's social capital.
Social capital, yes.
Oh, that's interesting. So when you came here, you came with a proven technique, okay, and you're applying that technique. And then I noticed that you have a new kind of logo line or a purpose. You're removing the barriers of perpetual poverty.
Right. So we're focused on looking, instead of focusing on intergenerational poverty, we're looking at what gets in the way of people having positive outcomes. So we support a lot of young families who want to work, who are underemployed, or who might not necessarily have all of the workplace skills that they need, or they might not have extended hours that's needed for childcare. So at the Parent-Child Center, what we did is we looked at the barriers that keep people poor, or keep people from flourishing and feeling a sense of vitality in their community. So we looked at those, we identified them, and then we created programming around those things to support the local economy, to support employers who need good employees, and to support the families in having the map of their dreams fulfilled for them and their families.
So that kind of an initiative actually fits in with what the state has to be able to do to keep its youth. You're taking people that might have failed because of perpetual poverty, and you're letting them experience activities that are that going to be more incentive to keep them here. Is that the idea?
Yes, and it was a matter of, we use a shared leadership model at the Parent-Child Center, so there's a large group of us who make a lot of the decisions for the organization. And we have a few programs that we've developed that were a little outside the box.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear these innovative programs that people you've been talking about, these innovative and transformative ideas that are really going to bring forward this whole idea, this new mission. What are some of those programs?
So again, it goes, the first thing we did was identify the barriers that perpetuate poverty. And then we developed programming around that. One of the things that is a national issue in rural communities is that there is a diminishing population of youth because the opportunities aren't there for them. But what's interesting about Rutland, and I find fascinating, is that there's a tremendous amount of opportunities for employment. So the question I want to tackle was, well, why do we have all these openings, but we haven't been able to sort of connect people? So we've developed a few programs. One of the programs that we developed is called Nature Works. And
what is it called?
Nature Works.
Nature Works.
And so Nature Works has a kind of a twofold approach. So one of the goals of Nature Works is to work with youth who aren't quite work ready and help them to become work ready and get some soft skills. But at the same time, remember I talked to you about social capital? Mm-hmm. Well, they work in a cohort. So they work together and they build relationships with other young people who are, getting work ready. They do some internships. We pay them a very small stipend for coming. And then at the end of this, we're prepared to hand them off to an employer short term and then to connect them with early childhood education, resources, and referrals. The other program we have is Natural Transformations. Natural Transformations is something that we've developed for young people, again, roughly high school throughout late 20s. For people who have substantial ACEs, which are adverse childhood experiences, and you find a higher concentration of those for people who are living in poverty. So if we have folks who have had a lot of crises in their life and they haven't kind of gotten over that, Natural Transformations is a program that shifts young people outside of their trauma into a space where that they can learn. The final thing that I think is really interesting at the Parent-Child Center that's innovative, that sort of fits in there, is even if you're working, you still might not have everything you need to be financially not just solvent, but thriving. And so once we put people through our programs, the next phase of our intervention and the work that we do, and prevention, is that we connect youth with employers, and then we support them as they transition into employment. So they get, they can access our food pantry. Something simple like diapers for one child is $77 a month. And if you don't have enough money to pay for that, then we can help support that and bridge that. So
you're eliminating all the barriers that will prevent somebody from actually nourishing herself and herself and going on and being productive and staying in the state.
Yes.
That's what you're doing. That's interesting.
And it was something that I had learned from you as well, looking at the data and the demographics of Rutland over the next 20 years. So our goal is not just to work with the parents, but at the same time we are cultivating the population of Rutland's youth in 20 years. So in our early childhood education programs, we have infants through pre-K, and we're ensuring that those kids are kindergarten ready, and then focusing on making sure those kids have the executive functioning skills.
So you're really addressing the present problems and the problems of the future. So now, when I started to think about, so do you offer these services to employers who employ? I mean, do you go out to employ to the companies in the area and say, look, we can do this for you? What do you tell them you can do for them?
So right now we're in the process of reaching out to local employers and finding out what their needs are for their HR department, and then letting them know that we are we're the extended community and family of that employee they're going to invest in. When you hire an employee and they don't last, that's very expensive for an employer. And so we want to make sure that they get through the initial period of transitioning into employment. Also, we're there if there's a crisis. Maybe their car broke down or something like that. We can support them and make sure they get to work.
Children support. Don't you run a daycare center or some kind like that?
Well, we have what we call early childhood education, aka daycare.
What do you call it?
Early childhood education. Because we believe that we're not just watching kids, but that we're also educating children, and that children's education begins at birth. And in our early childhood education program, we're offering extended hours. So if employees need to be at first shift, then we can be available at 6:30 in the morning and stay until the end of the day at 6:30 at night.
So the people who are educating those children in daycare centers, what's their background? Are they teachers? Are they social? I mean, do they follow your philosophy?
So all the staff at the Parent-Child Center of Rutland County follow this philosophy of a two-gen whole family approach. When I hire someone to work in our early childhood education program, I say to them that you're working with the whole family. You have the child for 6 or 7 or 8 hours a day, but you only get the parents for 15 minutes on either end. So you have to be really good at connecting at those 15 minutes. All of our staff meet the requirements for licensing. We have a lot of staff who, although they work in early education and it is not traditionally a high-paid field, they have bachelor's degrees and associate's degrees and are actively enrolled at Community College of Vermont taking early childhood education courses. So we really push for an educated staff, and then we also blend the Montessori method into our early childhood education program.
Yeah. So, in conclusion, what can the community, what can the state, you're helping the state with this economic problem of youth and so forth, what can the state respond? How can people respond, community? What can you ask for people?
Oh, there's a lot to ask for.
Okay.
So
let's hear some of what you can ask
for. Stop me. So the first thing I would ask for is that people come and tour our center. They come see who we are and
Where are you now? What's the address?
Our administrative offices are located at 61 Pleasant Street, and we are building a beautiful two-gen campus at 1618 Chaplain Avenue, just across from the State Fairgrounds.
Okay, so they come and visit you. What else can they do for you?
So they can come visit us and they can learn about our programming. Employers can schedule a time for me to come and talk about what we can offer the employer that will support their staff member.
How do they contact you?
We're kind of like a social work EAP, Employee Assistance Program, except we're social work. So we can provide that to employers.
They contact you?
They can contact me at
where?
At our administrative offices, or they can also contact me via email at mary.zigman, Z-I-G-M-A-N, at rcpcc.org.
Okay.
And the third thing that the community can do is what's most important to us are our community members. So we want families to come and utilize our food pantry. It is for anybody who has a stated need. Come take advantage of the parenting classes that we offer. Come take advantage of.
Are they all offered at the same address? What address is that?
We offer classes and play groups throughout the county, Lou. There are many. So it's just a matter of you give us a call, and we will connect you with an outreach worker, and that outreach worker will connect you with all the services. Okay. Finally, we would encourage young people who haven't received their high school diploma, or young people who have received their high school diploma but don't feel quite ready for work, to come and investigate our program and learn about nature works and natural transformations and learning together.
And then and finally, let me add the idea that the community can throw money.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks very much. That's been very fulfilling. Anything else? Any final words?
No,
it's really fulfilling.
Thank you, Lou.
I never realized that you could do so much.
Yes.
PCC of Rutland County.
Yes, and we
Parent-Child Center.
And we don't do it in a bubble. We do it with all the community, the other agencies in the community. We're all sort of working together to accomplish this goal. But it is the Parent-Child Center of Rutland County, and we have a new website coming, and please click like on our Facebook page.
Thank you
Lou.
very much for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank
It's
you.
fun.